Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. I am Ricky Fitzgerald. I'm the manager for FDOT's Freight and Multimodal Operations Office, and we wanted to take this time this morning to cover this webinar that covers the Federal Railroad Administration's December 20th of 19, their press release that launched their web portal for the public to report blocked railroad crossings. I want to give you a quick definition of block crossings if you're not familiar with it. Block crossings occur when stopped trains impede the flow of motor vehicle or pedestrian traffic as well at railroad tracks for an extended period of time. And this is a concern because this has potential safety risks and impacts to traffic flows. The purpose of this webinar is to inform our communities of Florida, which are you, so that we have a shared approach to addressing this nationwide topic. With better information, the FRA and us, the FDOT, and you, the partners, can begin to refine the challenges and work on solutions. Additionally, I will walk you through a demonstration of the web portal at a high level so you can have an understanding what to expect from the web portal. But before we get started with that, I'd like to pass it on to Diana so she can give you provide some housekeeping notes for you. Diana, please.
Thanks, Ricky. And thanks again for everyone who could join us today. First of all, please note that you are all muted. Everyone's muted except for the FDOT staff. This is so that we can reduce background noise. All of you are encouraged to submit comments or questions in the chat or questions box, and that will be monitored during the meeting. There's going to be some time at the end to go over any questions that remain unanswered. Today's webinar and the next webinar, which is on January 27th at 1 p.m., will be recorded to allow for viewing at a later time. And both the recording and all materials that are available in the handout section will be posted at fdot.gov/rail. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Diana. So let's get started. So as I stated earlier, FRA conducted a press release on block crossings that offers a web portal to capture data on any issues. FRA will use this information collected to gain a more complete picture of where, when, and for how long such obstructions occur at the nation's approximately 130,000 public grade crossings and what impacts occurs as a result. FRA will share this information with stakeholders, using it to help facilitate local solutions. And there are no, just so you know, there are no federal laws or regulations pertaining to block crossing. But before I get into the demonstration, I want to provide a little background to the framework of Florida's demand for freight and passenger transportation. And I thought this was important to share with you. Our current population now is 21.8 million residents. It's estimated to be as high as 26 million by 2030. And it's gaining an additional 900 new residents per day. We also have record-breaking numbers for our visitors. We have 127 million visitors in 2018, 68.9 million in the first 6 months of 2019, which was a 5.6% increase from 2018. And this may reach as high as 175 million annually in the next 10 years. And to add to that, from 1999 to 2017, e-commerce sales increased from less than 1% of total U.S. retail sales to more than 9%, reflecting a 3,000% increase. So we know demand for transportation is huge in Florida. And so we follow our strategic focus to remain proactive on staying ahead of this. And our strategic focus is to remove those institutional infrastructure and funding bottlenecks so that we can build a well-connected, reliable, and of course, safe multimodal network. Because we understand that freight mobility does enhance Florida's economy and communities. So let's get into the demonstration. Here's the web portal address. In FRA, the agency, it expects it will take an average of 3 minutes for users to complete the report. Let me stress, and I must stress this, as the FRA notes also states it, this should only be done in a manner that is consistent with safe operations of a vehicle. Let me repeat that. This should only be done in a manner that is consistent with the safe operation of a motor vehicle. So once you click on the address, it brings you to the site, to the portal. When it opens, you should go ahead, and if you see at the lower part of the screen, it reads fra.dot.gov wants to track your physical location. Go ahead and click on allow once. And so it wants to track your physical location, which makes it easier to find the crossings near you. As a note, I have not tested this on a mobile device. Now you can see, you can read the instructions and continue on to report. So it's important to read the instructions, kind of the same thing that was published in the press release. And again, what I just stated about manner that is consistent with the safe operation of vehicles. Click on the report, continue to report, and then let's take a look at the features. You can follow my cursor. The lower left are the lookup functions here, start and search. The upper left are the action buttons. From top to bottom, we have the nearby lookup, the data, and the login buttons. Just to get started, let's go ahead and click on the login button. So if you are a public safety official, you can log in or get login credentials from this page. If not, we can just X out of that and go back to the base page. You can select the crossing if you see the subject crossing nearby. For example, where I am in Tallahassee, I select the nearby crossing here. I just click on that. Once it's selected, a window will, with related data on the crossing will open up to include the crossing identification number, owner's name, cross street, city, and state. This is where you need to review and validate that you have the correct crossing. This is where I want to stress again. It is very important that you are reporting on the correct crossing. Again, it is very important that you are reporting on the correct crossing. Once you validate, go ahead and select General Public Report. The data entry fields open. See here. And here you can get started entering the data. Another point to stress. As with validating the correct crossing, it is equally vital that you report only facts that you observe at the crossing. I don't recommend reporting from third-party information. And please ensure that you are as accurate as possible with the input data. So once you input your data, click on Report Block Crossing. In the event that you already know the crossing identification number, you can use the lookup feature in the lower left part of the screen down here. So you see here, you can enter the crossing identification number here. So let me show you where you can get that from. Here you see a picture of a location of a crossing. You can find the crossing identification number here on the emergency notification sign, which we call the blue safety sign. This is where I have to say again that this should only be done in a manner that is consistent with safety operations of a vehicle. So once you find that, you can capture the crossing identification number here. So we have our crossing identification number. Again, we go back and we enter it in once you enter it in, you have to actually click on the word search. And it takes you to that crossing where you can select it as I showed you earlier, right here. Click on it. And again, the same data entry information pops up. The information pops up about the crossing. Click on General Public Report, and the data entry fields open up again. So once you're done with that, now you can, if you want to go see the data that you've entered, and you can go to the upper left of the screen here where we talked about these action buttons, and you can click on Data. It brings you to the report data page where you can look for your data entry by crossing identification number, owner's name, crossing street, city, or state. And in summary, this is the demonstration, but in summary, using this is a way that you can use this at a higher level. And I will reiterate a couple more things, but before I get into that, your questions, I want to just back up a little bit for a minute. And again, I wanted to reiterate how important it is to only report the facts that you observe at the crossing, not third-party information. And please ensure that you are as accurate as possible with input data. So I'd like to take a pause right now and see if you have any questions, and we'll try to address these questions now. But if you don't have any questions that you can think of right now, you'll feel free to contact us later to send your questions, and we'll be able to address them. So Diana, do we have any questions so far?
We do not at this time.
Okay, I'll give it a few minutes. Okay, before I share the final thoughts, I'll ask Diana again if there are any additional administrative notes to disclose. Diana?
Nothing. Thank you, Ricky.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Diana. So in closing, please keep in mind the three things I stressed. One, capturing data at crossings should only be done in a manner that is consistent with the safe operations of a vehicle. Two, it is very important that you are reporting on the correct crossing. And three, which is equally vital, you report only facts that you observed at the crossing, not third-party information. And please ensure that you are as accurate as possible with the input data. Simply put, we know demand for transportation is huge in Florida, and we are following our strategic focus to stay ahead of it. And so it is important that we all, FRA, FDOT, and you, do this correctly to get the best return on this effort. So that's all I have. Thank you. Again, if you have any additional questions, you have our information here. Feel free to contact us with additional questions, and we'll try to address them as quick as possible. Thank you very much.